Hello everyone, I am the Enforcer and welcome to the breaking news. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe and support us on Patreon, link in the description below. Today's breaking news brings us to the Voronezh Oblast inside the Russian Federation, and specifically into the small town of Olkhovatka, where we were able to get the breaking news today that a Ukrainian drone attack has ended up leading to a catastrophic explosion of a Russian ammunition depot that is so large that the entire city of Olkhovatka has been shut down, with no one allowed to enter or exit the city as the massive fireball continues to burn on the outskirts of the town. We were able to get one video clip of the major explosion that is occurring right now near to the area of Olkhovatka, and here is the clip. From what we understand, hundreds of tons of ammunition is exploding and burning in that ammunition depot in this clip. The severity of this attack is incredibly large, as we believe that the Olkhovatka ammunition depot not only primarily serves the area around the Kupiansk front for the Russian Federation, but may also serve as a secondary supply depot or a secondary part of a supply line meant to supply Russian forces with ammunition within the Vovchansk offensive, which, while failing, is still ongoing at the moment and does require a consistent amount of ammunition. The fact that this facility has been attacked and destroyed is showing us once again that Russian air defense, even in the frontline areas, may be next to non-existent. This is within the frontline air defense perimeter of the Russian Federation. From what we understand, that air defense perimeter exists around the city of Belgrad, into the area around Olkhovatka, Kupiansk, Severodonetsk, the area around Luhansk, Bakhmut, Donetsk, and then on into the areas around Mariupol, Volnovakha, Verbove, Tokmak, and then possibly even Kherson as well, although air defense does seem to be tapering off by that time when we get around to the area of Kherson. But nevertheless, the fact that the drone was able to attack a target within the actual frontline air defense perimeter and successfully hit it, leading to a catastrophic explosion of this size, is something that is very interesting to note and quite important to observe in all reality. The ammunition depot, unfortunately, we were not able to geolocate it exactly on satellite picture in the area around Olkhovatka, so unfortunately I will not be able to show y'all where that is here on the map, but nevertheless you can see where Olkhovatka lies within the Voronezh Oblast, and it's not that far away from the actual 1991 borders of Ukraine, only 25 miles away from the border, and from the most active front line at the moment in this area, it is only 70 miles. This clearly was within the air defense perimeter, and the fact that nothing engaged these drones and shot them down before they were able to hit their target is once again indicating to us that even air defense within the frontline air defense perimeter now is starting to suffer greatly and may even be completely non-existent in areas like the northern Kupiansk region, or maybe even possibly within the entirety of the Belgrad Oblast, as we'll see here in a second. But at the exact same time, we have heard that entrance to the city has been closed thanks to the massive explosion that is ongoing. We can actually see one car that was allowed to leave the city, showing the massive traffic jam of vehicles that are waiting to enter the city, but cannot because the city's authorities have shut down the pretty much entire operations of the locality or the municipality because of the massive explosion happening right outside of the city's limits. We see military vehicles in wait, civilian vehicles, really vehicles of all kinds waiting to enter the city, but none of them will be allowed to enter for quite some time as the ammunition explosion is still happening as we speak. This is something that is once again showing us telltale signs that the Russian Federation is beginning to strain greatly under frontline pressure. Of course, we can see that Russian air defense has been stripped from largely most of the country, and from what we understand now, Crimea as well. But the fact that we're starting to see that targets are getting hit within the frontline air defense perimeter as well, it really is showing that Russia is straining massively to try and keep any kind of usable air defense systems in the region. Meanwhile, in Belgrad, we also got to see that Belgrad came under heavy attack last night as well from Ukrainian drone forces, and two video clips have emerged showing explosions either from Ukrainian drones or possible failed Russian air defense interceptions, although once again, it is greatly questioned at this point whether Russian air defense is existent within the Belgrad Oblast or the Voronezh Oblast within the frontline air defense perimeter. You see an explosion right there, and it appears to have happened on top of a building. We didn't really hear a drone motor or the sound of a missile flying in to hit that building, so it's really ambiguous as to what that is. We don't know if that was a Ukrainian drone that ended up hitting the building. We couldn't hear any noise indicating it was an actual, internal combustion engine powered drone, and we couldn't hear the sound of a rocket motor either, suggesting that this would have been a Russian air defense missile. So we have absolutely no idea what hit this building. We are assuming that there will most likely be civilian casualties here soon that are reported from this apartment block. But moving on to the next clip, we got another video showing an explosion onto a different building within Belgrad. This one we can actually hear a drone motor, so it's highly possible that that was a Ukrainian drone that hit this building. We're not exactly sure what this building was either. Some people have been hypothesizing, considering that it's so dark and we really can't get a lot of geolocation information quickly on this building. We are assuming that it may be a city administration building that was hit by the Ukrainians overnight. We're not entirely sure, but once again, it is showing that Ukrainian drones are apparently not having that much difficulty getting into downtown Belgorod again, and it is showing that even with the movement of a mass of S-300 and S-400 systems from Crimea, it doesn't seem that it's really helping out that much in the Belgrad Oblast that those systems were moved there. They're not really detecting or intercepting any Ukrainian drones coming in these areas, and it's once again showing us that things just are not going well for Russian air defense, and we don't really think it'll ever pick up or improve from this point. Meanwhile, in the area of Okturka, we were able to get some very good news that the shell famine in Ukraine, which has famously been talked about really for the entire half of this year, has finally been overcome, according to Ukrainian authorities. The one commander of the AFU told journalists earlier ammunition was strictly rationed, which gave the Russian infantry the opportunity to act far more aggressively. Now the Ukrainian troops can fire at the enemy at full strength, meaning that the Russians no longer have the kind of advantageous window that they had in the past to be able to fire on Ukrainian soldiers or conduct offensive operations, as they'll now be largely suppressed by Ukrainian firepower at this time. Apparently, however, servicemen note an acute shortage of military personnel at the moment within the armed forces of Ukraine, while the ammunition shortage has been fixed, possibly showing that there will be further problems coming down the road for the armed forces of Ukraine. But for now, things are going incredibly well, and it does seem as though that the frontline situation will be stabilized, and counterattacks within the Vovchansk front will continue to drive the Russians back across the border and back into Belgrad, completely losing the major offensive that was planned for this summer. Meanwhile, in the area of Romania, we do see that NATO is continuing to prepare for possible further Russian escalations outside of Ukraine and into the areas of Eastern Europe. Of course, many know that Putin's ambitions do not just lie within the Ukrainian region. It also lies within the area of the Baltic states, Poland, and also Moldova as well, bringing forward the possibility that NATO forces would have to engage the Russians in a conventional war in the future and try and defend the NATO alliance from a Russian aggression meant to claim more territory for the Russian Federation. NATO is explicitly working on this situation massively, and we can see that the largest NATO base in Europe is currently being built within the area of Romania, specifically close to the port city of Constanta, which we can actually see on the map right down here. This is Constanta, and we believe that the airbase is being built somewhere out in this general area. We believe it may actually be an extension, really, of the international airport at Mikhail Kolyazino. I'm hoping that I'm pronouncing that correctly. I know I'm butchering it. But they're planning on massively expanding this international airport and turning it into a NATO airbase. You can actually see that it is right there, the Mikhail Kolyazino airbase, and I just mispronounced that terribly once again, but you can get the idea that a massive airbase will be built here. Apparently, the construction of this airbase will cost a whopping $2.7 billion, which is strategically located near the Black Sea, and 10,000 NATO soldiers of various different countries and various different air forces will be constantly stationed at this airbase and attempt to project air power over the Black Sea for NATO, and not only that, to have a Russian deterrent within the area of Central Europe. Moving on from that and into other interesting news that we've been able to get today from Moscow, we were able to hear that Lavrov is now reversing the statements that Putin supposedly made during his peace talks, or his attempt at peace talks a little while ago, and now Lavrov is saying that if they were to go forward into peace talks, instead of a ceasefire immediately going into effect, Russia will not stop the special military operation during the negotiations on the settlement in Ukraine if they ever even started. This is once again showing that Russian peacemakers are not really having a clear direction or an idea of peace talks at this moment. And while the Russian Federation's economy and military abilities are continuing to decline and fade in the background, it does seem as though that the Russians are more than apt to make sure that the diplomatic scene is as difficult as physically possible, and absolutely no progress will be made on that front. In Belgium, at the exact same time, we were also able to hear that the European Union is finally beginning membership talks for Ukraine. We're not entirely sure if these will be successful, even with the large majority of the European Union wanting Ukraine to join. There is some things that we believe that Ukraine will have to do still to be able to join the European Union. But this is the first time in 10 years that such talks have been discussed about Ukraine joining the European Union and becoming a part of one of the largest economic alliances that the world has ever seen. But with that, that is all of the breaking news that we have today. I've got to thank every single one of y'all so much once again for watching. If y'all did enjoy, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and support us on Patreon. The link for that is in the description below this video, and I got to give a massive shout out to all of our patrons who are currently there and helping to support these video projects and make them possible. If it wasn't for folks like them who made sure to go out of their way to support these video projects, we wouldn't be able to be here practically 7 days a week, making sure to cover all of the breaking news, not just going on in Ukraine, but really going on around the world whenever the moment arises. But still, a massive thanks to our patrons, and a massive thanks to you for watching this video. And of course, I will see you all in the next one.